40-point game, and like whatever. I don't know.
What a player, you know? What a
Yeah,
player.
me.
I feel like it's just with Chase. Sometimes you just gotta take risk, start him. Like it shouldn't be a risk to start Jamar Chase, but it really
Yeah, well,
is.
when you have like a real like talented number one wide receiver on your fantasy team, you know, even if they have a bad week, you can't overreact and send them to the bench and then freak out. And then
Hey, he scored 0 points or like 2.3 points the week after I traded him. So he didn't do that good.
yeah, no, it's but Jackson Dart is our savior, so it's fine.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. Jackson Dart's not gonna help you guys at all. Like I don't know why I say you guys as if you're a Giants fan.
You guys,
Yeah, I mean he's gonna be
uh,
good, but not for the first couple of years.
no, yeah, he's not gonna be. He like realistically, he's not going to be that good. It's just like you're hoping that maybe he at least tries to throw in neighbor's direction instead of doing like the Russ like three throws out the back of the end zone on first and goal or whatever.
Yeah.
And like
Oh,
Millie Neighbors
Scadabo's
has had
exciting. Scadabo for the
yeah
Giants, he's exciting. I mean,
yeah
I started him just on a whim in the sleeper league, and he won me that game. So
yeah, but also like Neighbors didn't have good quarterbacks last year, so hopefully Dart isn't like worse than those people. I
hey,
don't know.
hold on. Daniel Jones was actually good apparently. Not for the
Not
Giants,
last year.
but apparently he was actually a good quarterback. So
Yeah, and then for the back because they cut him like halfway through the season. He was on the Vikings, and so then after that, it was like I don't even know, like Tommy DeVito and like just complete like random, and they were still produced.
I can't
So
believe they got rid of Tommy DeVito though. The Giants did. They were the three amigos.
would you rather them get rid of Jameis? I mean,
No, get rid of Russ, dude. You don't need Russ.
oh yeah, yeah, actually that's fair.
You start Jameis, Jackson Dart, or Tommy DeVito, and then you got the three amigos. You can even like every play swap one out so that the defense never has any idea what they're looking for. I mean, so the receivers would never know what they're looking for, but then the defense wouldn't either. It's a classic Joe Milton. It's like how can he throw an interception if even his team can't catch his passes? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's basically what they're doing now, except there's no what? There's none of that chemistry between Russ and the other quarterback. So when they swap him out for Jackson Dart, it's just kind of awkward. But if it was those three, like I wouldn't even be
You can have all
opposed to
three of them
like
in the backfield at the same time.
that's what I was about to say. Have a three quarterback offense with like Neighbors and Scattaboo. Like that's all you need on the field.
You just that would be awesome, dude. That would
Do
be the
you have
most
any?
entertaining. That would be the most
Do you realize
entertaining
how
football
useless
team.
Tommy DeVito would be in this situation? Like, what are you using Tommy DeVito for if he's on the field in a three quarterback offense?
He's an option, dude. Oh, and the center can like snap to any of them, just like they're in
Yeah,
like a they're like in the like that T position that you had in Madden. That T uh formation. They're
I
in
can't
that
tell.
yeah. So that three formation, and then so it's just like the center can just snap to any one of them depending on the play.
Play Tommy DeVito at center. Their offensive linemen are bad enough. Like, imagine Jameis takes the snap from Tommy DeVito, and then instead of blocking the nose tackle lined up in front of him, DeVito just turns around and runs backwards and grabs the ball and throws it downfield.
just
And Jameis
just
gets hit by like Miles Garrett, who came through unblocked.
just just Miles, did you see the clip? It's like Jordan run.
Yeah.
That was so. I love like the desperation of that lineman's voice. He's like,
All right.
like, please. Okay, all right. So I fixed.
All
I
right.
think I fixed the issue with my audio. I think I had my mic set too loud, so it was clipping and then
Are we doing
cutting.
an Are we doing an intro
Intro.
of some kind?
Yes, we need an intro. Uh, welcome to Matt and Dion's Nifty Podcast. I still haven't thought of a name. I mean, I think the podcast name is still Filler Name Podcast.
Matt and Dion's nifty podcast
Nifty
about
podcast
football,
about the
specifically
NFL
professional
football.
football.
Yeah. I'm sure we could talk about college at some point.
It's giving Rob Lowe going to a football game like years ago and just wearing a hat that had just the NFL logo on it and becoming a meme instead of like supporting a team. We're just that. It's like podcast NFL related. The Washington Football Podcast.
Dude, they should have kept the Washington football team. Commanders is such a bad name. It's an
Dude,
awful
Washington
name.
football team was a great like
Such
it
a
was
great
really
name.
stupid, but it was like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that that was a thing.
I'm sure Washington football team would have gotten old if they had kept it for too long. But I feel like if they go
Well, that's you
back, it'd be awesome.
change it to Washington rugby team.
Washington soccer team.
And just Washington football team. Like just change the
Foot.
football team.
Washington
All
baseball
right.
team. Washington. Okay, so I feel like
So,
we should start out the podcast with just like anything notable that happened this weekend. You know, like is there any big thing that you know like something you're excited
everyone
for?
got hurt. Oh
Well,
well, I'm not excited for that, but
yeah, well,
everyone
anything you're
got hurt.
excited for, anything. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
like a lot of
anything I'm
people are hurt.
excited for. I'm excited for the 15-2 Carolina Panthers Super Bowl season.
Hey, I mean, you guys
Falcons
started the
suck.
season out with Jaguars, so it's a whole
I'm not
thing. It's a whole thing with
right. Oh
like,
yeah, sorry. I thought we had to beat the Jaguars. I forget how like the prophecy goes. I don't
yeah,
remember, but yeah,
30
Raheem
points,
Morris
dropping 30
sucks
points. That's crazy.
without really throwing. Like Bryce Young didn't even pass for a touchdown. He wasn't
Yeah.
throwing a lot in that game. Having only caught 3 passes. It was just like run the ball and wait for the Falcons to just completely implode. Which I don't know how you're playing the Panthers and you have Bijan Robinson. Whatever he's changed the pronunciation of his name
Yeah.
again. You have Bijan Robinson on your team and you're playing the Panthers. I don't understand how that doesn't work. I don't understand how you never cross the opponent's 30-yard line. Like I don't get it. Maybe the Panthers are just now that good. I don't know.
I mean, it
But
probably comes down to the fact that like they're just using Bijan Robinson. You know, it's just like that's all they really do. It seem to do now. And so if you just go, hey, I'm gonna shut down Bijan, then they're like, what do I do now? You know?
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm in the awkward situation of being both a Panthers fan and a Michael Penix truther, and I don't really like. I'm rethinking my Michael Penix truther stance. Like, I don't know what that was or and what he's been doing for the like this season so far.
Yeah,
Like Kirk
that
Cousins
was
might
crazy.
be able to move the offense better. I don't know,
Kirk
but
Cousins. Oh man, Kirk
you would
Cousins.
think Penix could just be like Jameis, but like left-handed and just like deep ball,
He played for
accurate.
Wisconsin in college.
Washington.
Washington. Okay, sorry, I knew it
Well,
started with a W.
he played for like Indiana because he was in college for like a while, and he had
Mm.
4 like season-ending injuries during his college career. But he
Oh,
transferred to Washington, so that was where he's finished.
I see. Yeah,
Brian
I was like, if
Callahan
yeah,
is worst coach in the NFL.
who's he coach?
It's
I don't know coach names. What team is he coach?
Titans,
Titans.
Titans.
Okay. Yeah, he
Completely
sucks.
inept. They basically like ran the field goal team off and on the field within a couple timeouts, then put the wrong ball on the field to kick, then took a delay of game, then still attempted a 60 something yard field goal. Got it. I think blocked or I watched. I don't remember, but anyway, Colts got a field goal before the half because the Titans ran around in circles during a Colts timeout, took a timeout of their own, still couldn't decide what they wanted to do, sent the field goal unit on with the wrong ball, and then took a delay of game because they still couldn't figure out what they were doing, then attempted the kick anyway and screwed it up and give the Colts 3 points. And I was just like, can we
About them
please?
Colts though. The first punt. It's I thought I saw something that they're like the first NFL team to like ever go this long without punting. Is that true?
I don't know if that's true. I know, like, I was listening to a thing that like pointed out their only statistical comparison so far for what they're doing on offense is the 2007 New England Patriots, who like redefined what we know about offense and were like the undefeated. I'm pretty sure that was the undefeated regular season team, unless I'm
I
completely
think you're right.
losing
2007.
my mind. Yeah, the ones that lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl
I think that was
somehow.
2007. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
probably. I
that's
don't know.
anyway. That is a Patriots are so far the only statistical comparison for what the Colts are doing on offense.
That is
So
crazy.
either it's unsustainable or you know
Undefeatable.
unsustainable or undefeatable.
Oh man, it's a good time to be a Colts fan. I mean, Indiana Jones
What?
looks incredible. So
Sure, something like that.
I mean, unless I'm playing him on Madden and he fumbles the ball 8 times and then you rage quit, and that ever happens. All right.
I re- yeah.
Two things I wanted to get into today. One, the Lions
Okay.
shutting down the Ravens. I know that they both scored like 30 points, and the Lions just scored like 38, and it was 38-30. And so it's not like there was like a shutout, but it looked like a shutout. Lamar getting sacked 7 times is crazy.
Well, that to me was the story. Like Lamar didn't have like an awful game, but he got sacked 8 times or whatever, which is insane. Seven? What?
7, yeah,
Yeah, 7 times. And so the fact they were able to, because like the Ravens don't have a bad offensive line, but Aiden Hutchinson and the Lions just
yeah,
dominant. And then also after the first drive, the Lions took Derrick Henry basically out of the game.
yeah,
And so that to me was the story of it, was the pressure on Lamar and you know, just completely removing Derrick. Like he had the one good drive to start the game, and then after that, it was like nothing happening. Then Hutchinson like perfectly punched the ball directly out of his arms for
yeah.
a fumble.
Something I noticed that I thought was really kind of kind of weird. Not weird. I mean, I don't know what the word to describe it. Anyway, the but Lamar Jackson, after about his fifth sack, he started dropping back further before he passed. Or it's like when he was first started the game, he'd drop about 5 yards back. You get the ball, drop to about 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Then after like his fifth sack, he started going like 8 to 10 yards back. And then it created this problem where like he has to throw the ball, not only throw the ball further, but when he's going to scramble, he has to run further to get to the line of scrimmage, and it was just causing more sacks. And so I think what
Yeah,
happened was he just stopped wanting. I mean, obviously he didn't want to get hit anymore, so he tried to get even I don't know if this is like a conscious effort or not, but he tried to get further away from the people trying to hit him. Probably to buy himself more time to throw, and it just didn't work out.
yeah.
It was
I
a
mean, he's
rough game for
capable
the
of throwing
Ravens.
far, but it's just
It's
yeah,
but you have to throw. You don't want to make yourself throw it further if you don't have to.
right.
But he probably was doing it because he's just like, I don't have time, so I'll get further away. And the creative was, now he's further away from the pocket, making it easier for the guys to get away from the linemen. You got to stay in the pocket.
We've also seen like he's one of the few quarterbacks that can do like the college like talented quarterback run out of the back of the pocket and escape thing. Like he's one of the few quarterbacks that can actually do it in the NFL sometimes. And so sometimes like that completely works. Like he even had that one scramble against the Bills that just looked like really stupid on the surface because he ran like 20 yards backwards and then just ran through everyone. Like sometimes that works for him, and it just like did not against the Lions.
Yeah. The Lions bullied they bullied the Ravens.
Yeah.
That game could have
So
been like 70 to 38, but that defense just bullied Lamar so hard.
so my question is now if you so take into account that game, we're through 3 weeks now. So that game, and then take into account Packers Lions week 1, and take into account Packers Browns from this weekend. So there's 3 games that I want you to like think about right now. So put all those together. What are your thoughts on the Packers and the Lions? I'm not going to ask you your thoughts on the Browns because that's just baiting like
So
insane answers.
I think the main difference between I mean, not only was it a really big wake up call for the Lions, the Packers game was. So they just realized, oh, we got to try a little harder than we were. Um, I think the big thing is, the Browns. They beat the Packers. I think part of it has to do with Flacco being a veteran quarterback. That veteran quarterback, the ability to stay in the pocket when there's pressure coming, that ability. And so I think that partially the big thing with the Packers defense right now is they've got that rush. They've got the defensive line to come in and rush the quarterback or blitz quarterback. I'm lost for words right now, but they got that defensive line to come in and do that. And I think a veteran quarterback who can stay in the pocket and make the pass he needs to make, that defensive line, while still super effective, is going to be less effective than someone who just has like, I'm gonna run if it gets bad. Someone who's willing to stay in the pocket, I think makes that defensive line not worse, but it makes the defensive line less of like boosting to the secondary. You know what I mean? It's like the
Yeah.
secondary gets that boost from the defensive line because the quarterback is like, I got to get out of here. But if you have a quarterback who's like, I'll take a hit, but I'm going to get that guy the ball, the secondary doesn't get that boost from the D line. And so I think if there are enough quarterbacks in the league like that, I think the Packers can get beat a lot, if there's enough quarterbacks who can do that. But if there's some quarterbacks who are just like, oh no, people are coming, I got to get out of the way, the Packers are going to destroy that team every time. And so you look at someone like Jared Goff. He has that instinct to get out of there. So if he can get rid of that instinct and just make the pass he's got to make, which I saw him do in the Ravens game a lot, uh, he can probably tear up that defense. But if he is constantly like, I got to get out of here as soon as the pocket collapses, he's going to get tore up. You got to be willing to take hits if you're going to make passes, and that's one of the reasons I don't like the scrambling quarterback as much, because it's just like they're just like, oh, I got to get out of here. And it's like there was a guy who was open for like a millisecond that you could have hit if you had just been willing to take the hit after you pass. But they were like, I got to get out of here to make a big 10-yard rush. It's like you could have had a 50-yard pass if you had just been a little more patient and a little more willing to take a hit.
Yeah. You were losing me a little bit because it seems, and I mean, still kind of does seem, but it seemed like you were categorizing Jared Goff as a not a pocket passer, and I
He's a
was kind
pocket
of
passer,
getting
but he
lost in the
gets
sauce.
He gets what happened during the Packers game, and he didn't do this as much in the Ravens game. But what happened in the Packers game was he would get scared as soon as the line kind of collapsed. He seemed to get a little scared and try to get out of the way. And sometimes you just got to take a hit as you're throwing it. And I don't think he was ready to do that first week of the season. And so I think that he might be more willing to do that now. Now that we're kind
Yeah.
of into the season. And I think that will, if there's enough teams to do that, the Packers are going to get beat. But if there aren't enough teams to do it, they're going to lose. And staying in the pocket, people always talk about how the pocket passer is dying. I don't think it is, just because staying in the pocket is so fun. I mean, back in like the 70s, the rushing, like the scrambling quarterback started to become a thing. And then it died out kind of towards mid 80s, late 80s. It kind of died out again in favor of the pocket passer, and then kind of came back and then went down, and now it's back again. But what happens is, they got the people who scramble, and then people realize, oh, if you just stay in the pocket, you get better passes. So while scrambling quarterback gets better like highlight reels, they don't win as many games, or they don't win as many big games because they don't stay in the pocket. It's a big. I mean, you think about like it sounds like ooh old head kind of cliche, old fashioned, but you have to stay in the pocket as a quarterback. That's like I don't know. Kurt Warner did it. Tom Brady did it. Peyton Manning did it. You stay in the pocket. You think about like Roger Staubach. I mean, he probably stayed in the pocket. I say probably. He did. I mean, they'd leave the pocket sometimes, but fundamentally, you need to be able to stay in the pocket when you need to stay in the pocket.
Yeah, and no one's denying that. When I hear you like go on that rant, the thing that comes to my mind is less like this guy is old fashioned, and it's more like this guy thinks he knows more about how to beat an NFL defense than NFL coaches. So, like that's more the direction my mind goes. It's less like, oh, he's so old fashioned. It's more like, do you not think that if this was the thing to do, they would all be doing it?
I don't. I really don't. I think it makes better highlight reels, more fan serves, because fundamentally, the NFL is a business. So NFL teams are a business. And so if you can gain traction through having this explosive quarterback who makes all these big plays, even if he doesn't win you playoff games, you get more money from having this explosive guy who brings in viewership. So at the end of the day, I don't think that necessarily staying in the pocket is as good for business as being Lamar Jackson, but I think it is better for beating a elite defense than being Lamar Jackson. You know,
Okay, so then I guess I have a question then. Who's a quarterback that plays like Lamar but doesn't win games that has stayed employed for way too long because the team only cares about highlight reels? Like what quarterback is it that's
Lamar
bad
Jackson,
and is
he can't win a playoff game. Like I guess he can win one, but he can't win. He can't get Super Bowl wins. He can't do that. You know, he is that because regular season wins. I mean, that also attracts attention. But then as soon as you get to big games, you start losing because people know how to make you tick. Like this Lions defense, they knew how to make Lamar tick. They knew how to get. They knew how to beat him. And so when you get to the playoff, it's all teams who know exactly how they're going to play against you specifically, and they're like are planning for exactly how you're going to play. And so regular season, he can play teams that aren't really ready for him, and that can rack up the big highlight reels and the jersey sales. So it's these big plays. They attract attention, but they don't attract like playoff wins. They don't attract long term success.
so really your opinion, if I just like aggregate all these opinions, is that Joe Flacco should still be the starting quarterback for the Ravens?
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I almost like want to just delete that entire 10-minute rant before I'm associated with some like Lamar Jackson is a backup quarterback opinion going around
Hey,
like
the Joe Flacco
back to
should
the
be the
internet.
starter. I think Lamar is a great quarterback, but the thing
You
is, I don't
literally
think he
just
can
said
be.
Lamar. I
I
asked
think
you
he's
what
a
quarterback
great
should be
quarterback.
replaced, and you said Lamar
You know,
Jackson.
you said what quarterback is still in the league that doesn't win games. I said Lamar.
But like that, okay. But the question
I may
was
not have
like,
listened to your
what?
question
How
all the way.
the question was, however I phrased it, what quarterback? Because if it's a conspiracy, not a conspiracy, but if it's like an intentional move by an NFL team to keep in a quarterback that doesn't win games, which by the way, Lamar wins games. Like you do realize, like you get into the playoffs, you like it takes a lot of not to say luck, but like a lot of things have to go your way to even get to a Super Bowl, let alone win one. Okay, but I'm asking like, what is like a objectively like bad quarterback who's not capable of elevating the team around him that the team just keeps in instead of replacing because he generates highlights? And you said Lamar Jackson.
Okay, yeah, I didn't listen to your question all the way. I'm sorry. Tua Tagovailoa, he's one. He
But
generates big
yeah,
plays. I mean, not right now. Right now, he's not doing as well as he has been in the past, but
to
generating big
Tagovailoa,
plays.
literally people are scared to watch him because they think he's about to get concussed.
Yeah, no, right now he's not
And he
doing as
can't
good, but
scramble, and he can't throw downfield.
yeah,
So,
that's because he's like mentally handicapped from all his concussions now.
I mean, yeah, but like the point still stands. Side note on Tua, I think that Tua, because Tua's whole thing in college, if you remember, was like he was a really good and accurate deep passer. Like they literally would put him in just to throw deep balls, like as a freshman or sophomore or whatever. Literally, they pulled Hurts during like a very important game, and Tua immediately went in and hit just a deep pass, like perfect down the sideline. I think was it a hip injury he had? He had some sort of injury that like no one talks about because of all the concussions. But he had some other injury that I think has like permanently messed with his ability to throw the football deep. And I like people want to talk about how he's very concussed, which is true. His brain is scrambled eggs, but also I think he like fundamentally, physically doesn't have the same abilities that he had in college, and people don't talk about that as much. I don't
Yeah,
know. Sidebar of the day.
yeah, and what really comes down to is people buy into hype. I mean, you think about like Trey Lance. The Niners paid so much to get Trey Lance, and then realize, oh, the guy we picked up last in the draft is actually better. And that people buy into this hype, and they go, well, the Russian quarterback is the future. The pocket passer is dead, so we'll just get all this stuff. And then like in 10 years, they'll be like, man, we were really, really not making the right choice with all these, paying all these quarterbacks that never won us playoff games or never got us a Super Bowl. We really wasted a lot of money doing that. It happens all the time in every single field. People get so big that they go, yeah, no. Yeah, the big sports analyzers, analyzers, analysts.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was struggling with that word. The big sports analysts say that this is who you got to pick, so I'm going to pick this guy. Turns out Trey Lance isn't as good as Brock Purdy, or at least for the Niners. It's like, and so it's, at the end of the day, sometimes you get too lost in the sauce as a coach in the NFL, and you go, hey, the big rushing quarterback, they make big plays. We should get them. And you go later on, they'll be like, huh, I guess the pocket pass really was the way of the future. And it's like right now,
Okay.
okay, the big thing is right now, you have ebbs and flows in the way defenses cover. Defenses get really good at covering certain things. And so if all you have is deep threat pocket passers who are super accurate, defenses are going to get really good at covering that. So then you get someone like Lamar in who's, he wins games. He does win games. And then not the big games because people learn how to defend him specifically. So he gets in there and he's like, well, people are expecting me to pass deep right now. So I'll just run up the middle, get 20 yards on a rush. And so once kind of like the pendulum will swing the other way and it'll become running quarterbacks will become completely irrelevant. You don't need them because having a guy who can run is what they're expecting you to do, you know? And so at the end of the day, right now it is kind of like I guess the meta, but I still think that the pocket passer is viable because so many people say the pocket passer isn't even viable anymore. But I mean, you think about Mahomes. He's a
You
very
froze after the word
okay,
passer on my end. I'm not.
okay. Well, so you think about like Mahomes, right? He's a playmaker. He scrambles, um, and he lost this recent Super Bowl where he was completely healthy, unless he had some kind of injury I wasn't aware of. But then he wins a Super Bowl with like a hurt ankle where he can't run and he has to stay in the pocket. And sure, he had a better offensive line, so it was more viable to stay in the pocket. But if you have to stay in the pocket, you're gonna make that work better than if you don't have to. I think that's what it really comes to. If you have to do something, it works better than if you have that thing will work better than if you have options to do other things. Like if I
Sure.
if I
So
can't leave, if I am unable to leave the pocket, I will make the pocket work better than if I have an option to leave. Because if I have an option to leave, I'm probably going to do that if things get bad. But if I have to stay in there, I'm going to figure something out. I'm going to at least try to figure something out. You know?
why is Baker Mayfield out scrambling for first downs on 4th and 10 instead of staying in the pocket and making it work?
Did you see his pocket? There was no
No,
more
it was a
pocket
very small
left.
pocket, but that's not
No,
an
there was no
excuse.
more pocket. The pocket was over on the sideline. When there is no more pocket, you
It
have to
doesn't matter.
scramble. All right,
It
I see
doesn't
what you're
matter.
saying. No,
I think the true pocket passer is dead in the sense of like someone who like physically can barely run without like that used to be a thing. There used to be quarterbacks that were very, very slow and could barely run. And I don't think that's gonna be a thing anymore because I don't think like they literally would have to be, incredible at processing and throwing, which could happen again. I think the way the college game is moving, there's gonna be a very low chance of someone like that appearing. So that's another angle to this is you do have to work with the players that you're getting, and you have to play to their strengths. Um, but I mean, with that, I mean, the best quarterbacks in the NFL are those who are able to hang in the pocket when needed and who are able to run when needed because it's just another option. Like if Lamar Jackson would not be, in my opinion, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, if he was still like rookie year Lamar Jackson, who was a lot worse at hanging in the pocket, and his first option was literally always taking off and running. Like, because I remember I don't know if you were watching football then, but when Joe Flacco got replaced by Lamar, it was really stupid to watch because they made the playoffs and they were playing the Chargers in a playoff game. And Lamar would literally just, as he was a rookie and he was literally just running on every other play, he would get hit. He would just not make plays. He wouldn't throw. It was embarrassing to watch. And since then, he's really learned a lot and actually become someone who's capable of making pretty much all the throws. I mean, I have no hate for Lamar's game as a passer, but I mean, to say that, like, not that you said this, but to imply that perhaps there's something inferior about even like a Josh Allen as opposed to maybe a Joe Burrow, which Joe Burrow can run, but a healthy Joe Burrow is really more of what you're talking about. Like he's very similar to a pocket passer like a Peyton Manning who changes things at the line of scrimmage, who makes the correct read. And Joe Burrow is very, 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 very good, and you would want him as the quarterback of your team, but he's not like significantly better than one of the scrambling quarterbacks who is good. Now, a bad scrambling quarterback is just like kind of embarrassing, and you don't want that. But
Yeah,
so is a bad pocket passer,
I guess.
and
Yeah.
then also a bad pocket passer. Like if your quarterback is like rookie year Caleb Williams, I don't know, like somebody who's capable of running. Maybe you can at least like if he can't make the throw, maybe he has a chance of picking up yards and winning games. If your quarterback is like we haven't seen him play in the NFL, but Tyler Shuck is like quietly completely immobile, or not even
Mhm.
quietly, everyone knows this. He can't run at all. He's like a statue in the pocket. And I feel like if that's your baseline, and then you're actually also just end up not being able to throw at NFL level, like you're literally never going to get anywhere as an offense.
Yeah. I
And you can
guess.
also make the argument that having to respect the run also from the quarterback makes it easier to make the throws from the pocket. If the defense has to commit resources or even just keep an eye on you running, then that frees up room for you to throw.
Yeah, I suppose.
Was this where the podcast was supposed to go? I have a
Yeah,
question.
I not really actually. My plan was to go a completely different direction, but yeah. Oh, and this is completely unrelated. But did you see where where the Lions picked up Malik Willis so they could practice having a scrambling quarterback for Lamar Jackson?
The Lions have Malik Willis?
They
I
picked
did
him
not
up
know
for
that
the.
was a thing. Who
I
is the
heard that.
Packers backup?
I don't know, but the Lions picked up Malik Willis. This is what I heard. I mean, obviously it could be lie because I just heard it
If
somewhere.
I
I
look
heard
this up and Malik Willis is still on the Packers, I'm gonna laugh.
I heard it from the actual like announcement on the Lions game.
Oh,
So
maybe.
I was watching the Lions game and the announcer was like, "Yeah, the Lions picked up." I think it was actually I was watching the Peyton and Eli, so it might have actually been Peyton or Eli Manning talking about how they picked
Malik
up
Willis
Malik.
is still on the Packers.
Or hold on,
I
maybe it
have
was.
no idea.
Is it somebody else named Malik? Hold on.
I
Who
can't think of a
did
quarterback on the
the
end.
Lions pick up? Malik Cunningham.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
heard Malik and then just autofilled to Malik Willis because I know the guy's name. So it was Malik Cunningham, not Malik Willis.
Yeah, yeah. And that's another scrambling quarterback.
Yeah, they picked up
But
Malik
yeah,
Cunningham too. I heard Malik and was just like my brain just turned off the
yeah.
rest of it. But
But they picked him up to run the scout team essentially because
yeah,
they
run the
didn't.
scout team so that the defense could practice against that guy. Apparently Malik Cunningham was like tearing up their defense in practice until eventually they just figured it out, and that's probably how they got 7 sacks on Lamar.
Well, the Lions defense didn't look all that good through 2 weeks, and then suddenly this week we are so back. And then also quietly, Ravens offensive line. I don't know. It's just weird. The entire thing was weird. And also, the Lions' offensive line looks suddenly back after that being like a major thing I think people were concerned about. Like suddenly it just looked fine against the Ravens, which the Ravens were out a couple of like defensive starters, but I mean, people are out starters in every game, and the Lions' offensive line just looked completely back to normal
Yeah.
with the replacements they've had to make.
Yeah, I mean they let a few guys through, but then uh,
Well,
Jared Goff got rid of the ball quick enough on fourth down to off to. That was some crazy stuff they did. A play action pass,
fourth
threw it to
down, dude.
Amon Ra. Dude, I love watching the Lions play. They're so much fun. But anyway, on to the big segment that I had planned for today. We're only 30 minutes in for the big segment I had. Although this probably won't be that long because it's just a little
Yeah.
stat comparison thing. But I wanted to talk about people are constantly saying, we've never seen anything like this before with certain players, like Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Derrick Henry. But here's the thing. We kind of have. You look at the 1970s, it's very, very similar to what we have right now.
I have
What?
a question.
What?
Did you plan a football history segment when so far we've been consistently unable to reference things from like 6 years ago accurately?
Yes. Absolutely, I did.
Got it. All right, let's go.
But here's the thing. So people are always like, I hear people all the time be like, we have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, two guys who are like, we've never seen anything like them. And it's like the
I said this on last
1970s.
week's episode. This
Did
is a
you?
shot at me. I'm pretty
Huh.
sure I did.
I don't think you did. I remember
I
being
said it to you
I
before, I
watched the
think.
Who's Next. I watched the new Who's Next show, and they said that at one point. So I was taking that from the Who's Next show. But anyway, you said it too. Um, Not the case today. I might cut that part out. All right, let me restart this segment. So restarting the segment. All right. So people are always saying we have. People are always saying that we've never seen anything like this, but we're literally just watching the 1970s play out again. It's all the same players. So you look at people like Roger Staubach. You know, it looks pretty similar to Baker Mayfield.
I'm gonna throw up at
Sorry,
my
I,
desk.
I am comparing Roger Staubach to Baker Mayfield. Sorry. We'll move on from that one. That one's not. That one's not a big. That one was just kind of a joke to throw in there. It's like I say, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time is Baker Mayfield. Anyway, so people are constantly saying Patrick Mahomes, no player ever been like him, right? But you look back in the 1970s, you got Ken Stabler. What's so funny? What's so funny, Matthew?
Nothing. Carry on.
What's so funny?
Carry
No,
on.
say what you think is funny.
No.
Say
This
what you
this
think is
needs
funny.
to go on the internet.
No,
You
say
deserve to
what you
have this
think is
opinion
funny.
publicly.
Say what you think is funny.
I just heard Ken Stabler and Patrick Mahomes in the same sentence, and I just think that's amazing. So
What's so funny
just
about it?
carry on. Post this.
What is funny about that?
Not a thing. Post it.
What is funny about this? Huh? No, tell me what's funny.
I
Tell
have
me what is funny.
I have no opinions. I'm just the co-host.
Tell me what you think is funny, Matthew. Come
I have
on.
a question. I have a question. In preparing for this segment, what was your method of research?
What do you mean?
Like, what did you do to determine that Ken Stabler was Patrick Mahomes? I that's gonna be your explanation,
I
right?
saw him
So I just
play.
go into the explanation. What?
You saw him play. They have similar styles of play.
Okay. So you watched highlights of Ken Stabler.
Yeah. Well, I'm not
Okay.
going to sit down and watch 30 full games of
Carry on.
football from the 1970s. What is so funny?
Well, yeah, no kidding, you didn't do that. I anyway.
Hold on.
Can I do one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I think because I was watching a lot of highlights from week 2, 2025 Giants Cowboys. And so I think if you go look at like the greats, like Joe Montana, like even Tom Brady in 2007, I think 2025 Russell Wilson is up there with one of the great quarterbacks. Like I see the exact same comparison between the two.
What are you
I watch the
saying?
highlights; they look the same style of play. The deep ball is beautiful. Um,
What are you talking?
that's
What? How is? All right. So I can tell you're making fun. I can tell you're making fun of me. What is? Are you trying to say that I'm like? I'm not comparing their like. What's the word? I'm not comparing their like success or their. I'm comparing their style of play. That's it. I'm not comparing anything about them other than the style of which they play.
well, yeah, and I think Russell Wilson deserves to be in that conversation because I watched his highlights against the Cowboys. I see a guy who can hang in the pocket, who can throw deep, and also the Cowboys, like Deion Sanders at corner, he's just getting beaten constantly by Russell Wilson. Like that's a historically great defense. And so I think if you're going to have this conversation about great pocket passing quarterbacks based on their highlights, I think we should put Russell Wilson in that tier because we've seen this before. We've seen a legendary quarterback just walk out and destroy, and like just head to head shootout, cooking a defense until suddenly it goes very badly.
What are you why are you comparing this what you're saying here compared to what I'm saying? What is the thing that you are
Because Because I watched some highlights and I have determined that Russell Wilson has a similar style of play to the great quarterbacks of the 1970s
you what
based
you
on those
compared him to
highlights that I watched.
2007 Tom Brady. That's not even the 1970s.
I'm comparing him to some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. That's my comparison based on what I saw from the highlights against the Cowboys.
Wait, are you trying to say? Hold on. Let me try to figure out what you're trying to say to me right now. Are you trying to say that the
Okay, I'm trying to say
comparison?
that you watched Ken Stabler highlights and somehow came out of this with like a hypothetical idea of what Ken Stabler is based on some highlights. And I'm gonna
No,
be honest.
what? I'm saying that the style of play in that, not that. Oh, he's got this crazy. I'm saying that when you look at the things that people go like not rag, people brag on Mahomes for the crazy plays, the athleticism. People say, "Wow, we've never seen anything like this." But if you look at Ken Stabler, he does similar things that Mahomes did. The similar things that people are like, we've never seen anything like that. You look at back in time to Ken Stabler, he did similar things. The falling down pass, just doing a flick while he falls down. Stuff like people constantly are saying, we've never seen like that. But if you look at Ken Stabler, he does a lot of similar things that Mahomes does. I'm not comparing I'm not saying Ken Stabler is the same person as Patrick Mahomes. I'm saying he did a lot of the things that Mahomes does that people say they've never seen before.
Okay.
What is so crazy about that?
So why are not
Oh, hold on, you're cutting out.
the fans who were watching football in the '70s who have this opinion?
Sorry, you cut out the whole time. What'd you say?
Yeah, you did too. I said, why are there not more fans alive in the '70s comparing Ken Stabler to Mahomes? Like, why aren't they all saying we've seen this before?
Because there's like it's 50s, and then they're in their 50s and 60s, and no one listens to them, and they don't have podcasts or
Okay.
shows. They say it to their grandson, and their grandson's like, "Okay, Unc, we all right, Unc, yeah."
Yeah, sure, Ken Stabler. No, but okay. All right. Anyway,
I
so
mean, you even look
do
at the
you think
stats.
do you think Ken Stabler is translatable to the modern NFL?
Probably not.
Okay.
I mean, one
You're
thing
saying for
specifically, one thing specifically, I think is, I mean, as a race, we get better and better at physical activities, right? You look at sprinting. uh, Sprint has gotten faster each time we go at it. Somebody beats the world record from like 5 years ago. Then in like 10 years, someone's gonna beat that world record, and then in 5 years, someone's gonna beat that world record. So it's like, as a species, we're just getting better at things, and part of that is as we start way younger, and so we have more knowledge about how to properly do stuff. So you know, if Ken Stabler was taken from what year? 74. Trying to remember what his best year was. Sorry,
I think 74.
74 to straight to now. I don't know that he would be as good just because, he's not gonna make the 78-yard in air pass to somebody. But he also had different defenses that he was playing. The defensive game was played completely differently back then. So if you just took him straight from then to now, I don't know that he would play as well as he did then. It's the same way that if you took Mahomes and threw him back in 1970, I don't think he'd play as well. It's like a very different game played a different way, you know. Um, yeah. I think the constant
Okay.
like I think the thing where people go, well, if Roger Staubach was in the NFL now, he'd be the top player. It's like I don't know. Maybe he would. Maybe he wouldn't. It was a different game back then. I mean, one thing is, I
I
mean,
feel like I
defenses
feel
definitely
like based
played.
on this podcast so far that you must hang out with people who think that Roger Staubach is like a top 3 quarterback in NFL history.
I mean,
Like
he
that's just kind
is.
of the vibe I'm getting.
He is though.
All right. Anyway, I'm really interested to see where this segment goes because you kind of tease that you have like not statistical, but you have a '70s equivalent of Lamar and Derrick Henry. So that's where I'm really actually waiting. But I don't even care about Ken Stabler to Mahomes. I'm just gonna like move on from that.
All right.
I'm waiting for.
Now this, hey, I will preface this. I will cut this out and put it the preface. I'll preface this with some of these are a weird comparison, but you got to hear me out for my comparison, all right? And not in that they're not accurate, but more in a you got to hear my explanation first, all right? So I'm gonna tell you the name of somebody. You ever heard of sorry? Fran
Yes,
Tarkenton.
Fran Tarkenton. Yes.
Yeah.
What about him? Who are you comparing him to?
You know who I'm comparing it to. You know who I
Derrick
am.
Henry. Yeah.
I'm sorry, do I have the wrong thing pulled up? No,
You're
I
comparing
don't.
him to Lamar, right?
Yeah, I am.
It's Lamar, right?
I was like, did I accidentally slip the name of a quarterback in or a running back into the name of a quarterback list? Yeah, I'm comparing him to
No,
Lamar
although that would be
Jackson.
really funny if you were just about to like compare Lamar to a '70s running back. That's actually like the most cancelable way to make our podcast take off of all time. It's
Oh
like we've
yeah,
seen Lamar Jackson before. It's just like I don't know,
Jim Brown.
'70s.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
Fran
yeah.
Tarkenton to Lamar Jackson. I mean,
I have a question. This better not be about how they both couldn't win a Super Bowl. Like
I mean
this better be a
that
play
is
style thing.
that. I mean that I didn't think about that, but that is accurate. Yeah, it is a playstyle thing. I mean, one thing is, I mean, Fran Tarkenton. He was a very revolutionary way of the quarterback. I mean, he kind of, I wouldn't say invented, but kind of did the scrambling that we see today a lot, from like
So Fran
Kyler Murray.
Tarkenton was the worst thing to happen in NFL football, in your
It's
opinion.
entertaining. I'll say that it's entertaining. And you know what? At the end of the day, the NFL is entertainment. So yeah, I'm not going to say Fran Tarkenton was one of the all-time greats. Um, Never won
Well,
the
no,
Super
you're not
Bowl.
going to say that. You literally hate scrambling
I do hate
quarterbacks.
scrambling quarterbacks.
You think they're not good.
I think they're
Like Fran
good, not
Tarkenton for
great.
you is like replacement level.
Yeah. Not replacement level. Yeah, don't put words in my mouth. But yeah, the comparison is very evident. I mean, you just see the way. I mean, every single scrambling quarterback is going to be comparable to Fran Tarkenton in that they are a scrambling quarterback. I mean, you look at the way he played. What's so funny about that? Come on, you're snickering again.
Every single scrambling quarterback can be compared to Fran Tarkenton because both of them run. Is like the funniest sentence that's ever been. Okay,
I mean, who invented football? Every single person who plays the quarterback position is going to be compared to the first quarterback because he invented that.
yeah, no, yeah, that, but like that was your actual take. Like that was the take is that
I
they
don't
both
mean that
run
they're
and so they're
just as.
comparable.
I just mean that they come from the same lineage as him, basically. Like it's no. Okay, that came out weird too. See, you're throwing off my flow here by snickering at me, all right? That's what's happening here. I have a good flow, and I could explain myself better if I didn't have someone snickering at me while I tried to explain this.
Okay, so the one review I got of this
Oh, lost him.
I think your camera needs to be on so that we can see your reactions to everything. So if we want to just ignore that review and turn my camera back off so you don't see me snickering
No,
when you
that's
compare
fine.
Lamar
That's fine.
Jackson to like Usain Bolt because both of them run, then I can turn the camera off.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I mean, you've seen Fran Turkington highlights, right? I mean, that's what this whole thing comes down to. This whole segment is comparing the highlights that people say we've never seen anything like this to the highlights of somebody doing it like 50 years ago. That's the whole point of this segment is to say that we have seen that before. Look, 50 years in the past, we've seen that exact highlight from somebody else. And so the Fran Turkington, you look at like Kyler Murray's, running around like an idiot while he's looking like a toddler. I mean, obviously his run style is different. You see that it's very similar to Fran Turkington's way of doing it back in the 70s. 70s. Yeah.
Do Kyler Murray and Lamar have the same play style to you?
They're both scrambling quarterbacks. They're very different kinds of scrambling quarterbacks, obviously, but they're both scrambling quarterbacks.
Okay, but they're both Fran Tarkenton. They're both similar to Fran Tarkenton. Is what
They
you're
are
saying
both they're both similar to Fran Tarkenton, but not in the same way.
because all three of them can run.
So is deep blue similar like a very very deep dark blue similar to black?
No, black is the like complete absence of color.
No, but
It's
like is
not.
like is like an insanely dark blue that if you weren't looking at it and being like, "Oh, this is blue." Is that similar in appearance to black?
Sure.
Is very, very, very dark red that you can hardly tell is not red if you aren't looking at it, similar to the color black.
Perhaps less so than blue.
Yes. Now, are blue and red, just the color blue and red, similar to each other.
Debatable, but probably not.
So what you're saying is two things can be similar to another thing if they're not wholly similar to them each other.
Right. Yeah. No, that's not where I disagree with you. I'm not saying they both can't resemble Fran Tarkenton. It just
Just
seems like you found a one quarterback who could run, and you decided that all quarterbacks who can run are like this one quarterback.
yes,
Because your entire reason they were similar was because they can run, and they're
yeah.
like that.
The run, what? The the sh- the scram the you know not
Can we
okay.
just
Hold
can
on.
we
The
just add
scrambling in
can
the
we add Jim
backfield.
Brown now? Because actually this might work now because Jim Brown could also run with a football. So let's just also add him. Let's do
Okay,
four people. Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Fran Tarkenton, and Jim Brown. Just talk
laugh
about
it
how they're
up.
all the
Laugh
same.
it up. Laugh it up. All right,
I
but you
will, yeah.
so so you so you've seen. I mean, I assume, but you have looked at Fran Tarkenton highlights from the past, right? You have seen him play, right?
No, because I hate scrambling quarterbacks. I only look at pocket passing highlights.
But you have seen it though, right?
Honestly, probably not.
Oh,
You gonna
okay.
be for real.
So the way in which he did his thing, well, it's the reason he did this was right. His first year, he was getting obliterated. I think he was sacked 42 times his first year, 45 times his second year, and they only played like 10 games that his first year, and he was sacked 42 times. So he realized, oh, my offensive line is awful. I have to figure something out. So what he started doing was he'd get the ball, run over to the right, run over to the left, run over to the right while he's waiting for his guys to get open. Because back in those days, defensive linemen didn't like to run. They liked to run about 10 yards to get the quarterback, and they'd be out of juice until the next play. That's his words. And so I paraphrased his words, but anyway, so he'd run around, waiting, in the backfield, waiting for his guys to get open, and then he'd throw it to them when they were open. Which personally, I don't like that style of play. It's entertaining, but I don't think it's the optimal way to do it. I mean, obviously his offensive line was bad enough that maybe he had to, but he that's the way he played. And if you look at the way, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, they run out to the side and they move up and they move back and they run around and they dodge a couple tackles and then they throw the ball at guys open. It's a very similar, and to say, oh, they just run, that was an inapt or inaccurate description by me. I was wrong there because I was just trying to get through my next point and then you hogged on one thing I said. So
Well,
it's
yeah,
a
what else
very
am I gonna do?
yeah, it's a very similar style of play of that kind of scramble around until someone gets open. And so it's a similar thing. We've
So
seen it
yeah.
before.
Okay, so if I follow your point all the way through, it is that perhaps the game of football today as we know it, and these quarterbacks who are coming through college may have been influenced by coaches who may have evolved their game from quarterbacks in the 70s.
Yes, exactly.
Mind-boggling. Okay.
But the reason I'm making this second segment, right, is because it irritates me to hear people go, "We've never seen anything like this." But we have. It has existed for years. And so it's like, yeah, we've seen this before. We have seen it before. Anyway,
So, who was Fran Tarkenton's running back?
I don't know about the Vikings, dude.
Okay, I because you specifically complained about people saying that the combination of Lamar and Derrick Henry was unique. So I'm curious who their running back was that you're saying we've seen that combination before, or do you have another scrambling quarterback that you're going to compare him to?
Well, my complaint is that people are saying we've never seen a player. The people I saw. So maybe that's maybe what you were saying was we've never seen these two players together. But what the people I saw was we've never seen players like Lamar or like Derrick Henry. And so maybe what you said that you're remembering you said was, or that and I'm not remembering you said, was something along the lines of we've never seen these players together. But the people I saw, we've never seen players like them, and we have.
Okay. My take that I said to you was that we've never seen two players like that in the same backfield, creating such a nightmare for
Mm,
defenses.
yeah,
I don't know what you heard.
I heard somebody else talking about it somewhere else, I guess. So
So, okay.
on to the next player. So and now this one, if I'm not careful with the way I say this, this could make some people mad. And now let me preface this with, again, I am not comparing how good these players are to one another. All right? I'm not saying that this player from the 70s is on the same level as this player from now, or that this player from now is on the same level as the player from the 70s. Just that they played similar styles of running back, all right? And that they did things
Oh,
that are comparable to each other. Not that, not in success, but they did certain things in comparable ways to each other. All right? Yes.
all right. I have a question. Is this Derrick Henry? Are we doing Derrick Henry?
We're going to get to him, but that's not the first one I have lined up.
Okay, never mind. Then go.
Okay. And just remember that when I say these, right? So you ever heard of Earl Campbell?
Yes.
He reminds me a lot of Knuckles. Or as
Okay.
some people might know him,
So
Demo.
we found a historical comparison for David Montgomery.
Yes. I
Okay.
okay. The thing was, I was just doing a bunch of research on players, right? And I was just like, because I was curious about 1970s players. I was like, I probably don't know enough about players from the past as I should. As much as a fan
Yeah.
of the current game as I am, I should probably know more about players. So I was doing research, and I was like, huh, this guy reminds me a lot of the way that Demo plays. Not in the success. Obviously, I think Earl Campbell's probably a lot better historically than Demo is at the current moment. I mean, obviously, Demo could become an all-time great if he, continues to get better. But if he continues to improve and improves enough, he could become an all-time great. Any player in the NFL could do that if they improve enough year to year. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm not saying Demo is on
I'm
track.
googling David Montgomery's age.
He's been in the NFL for 7 years, so he's pretty old.
Okay.
But I'm saying,
I mean, I think the all-time great ship has sailed.
I mean,
No
probably has,
offense to
probably
David
has.
Montgomery at all,
But
because
hey,
he's fun to
hey,
watch.
tomorrow he could come out and become an all-time great. I mean, it's not likely, but it could happen. It is physically possible for him to have such an improvement that he becomes. I'm not saying it will happen.
Okay, so I think you're making your argument worse now because you're actually making arguments for how David Montgomery could become as good as Earl Campbell when that was the exact thing you wanted to
No,
avoid.
no, no.
So
I'm
go
not
back to
trying
how
to
they
say that.
resemble each other.
Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, it's very obvious. They're just kind of like run through a guy, kill a dude. That's a very.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just. I'm not saying it's a crazy comparison. Like they have like a Fran Tarkenton to Derrick Henry. It's like this, not Derrick Henry. Sorry, Lamar Jackson. They're both Raven players. Where they have a very sim. I'm
What?
saying, sorry.
What did you just say?
I said Derrick Henry
Who?
instead of Lamar Jackson by accident.
Oh, okay. I
I,
thought
I
you
just
said
I
Fran
just misspoke.
Tarkenton played for the Ravens, and I was like, what?
No, I just misspoke and said Derrick Henry instead of Lamar Jackson. Tried to correct myself, and I said too
Yeah,
many things
yeah,
to correct
yeah. You're
myself.
good. You're
Anyway,
good. Go on.
so I'm saying it's not a revolutionary comparison saying, wow, this guy runs through a guy just like how this guy ran through a guy. That's not a revolutionary comparison. Um, I mean next person. I mean
It's not a
that's
revolutionary comparison. Next person.
next person. It's not. I mean
All
like
right.
if you watch Knuckles play and if you watch Earl Campbell play, it's like yeah, I mean they're the same style of player. That's not. All right, next person I have up, Franco Harris. I'm saying that name right, am I?
I think so.
Okay, sorry. Franco always confuses me. I'm like, am I saying that wrong? Franco Harris. And
You
I'm
better not
sorry.
be doing what I think you're doing.
What am I doing?
No, say it. I want to make sure. Let's go. Franco Harris. Who is he?
What are you trying to say? Wait. Who do you think I'm
No,
about to compare this guy to?
I'm not gonna put words in your mouth. You're gonna put words in your own mouth, and then I'm
I
gonna make fun
think
of
he
them.
has a similar style of play to Sonic.
Okay. Yeah, not where I thought you were going. You're good.
Did you think I was going to compare him to like Derrick Henry?
I thought you were doing Derrick Henry, and I'm like, I'm ready to like argue the minute you bring up Derrick Henry because I genuinely don't think there is a historical comparison for a giant running back with ridiculous longevity who plays that exact style of football. I don't think there is one.
Just you wait.
Like if we're doing David Montgomery, why don't we also do all the second string running backs? I'm sure we can find
Hey,
someone who
David
resembles
Montgomery is
them.
not a second string running back.
Franco Harris is 6'2". That's crazy. Maybe you should have done Franco Harris and Derrick Henry. They're both tall. They both
Yeah, I
run with a
mean,
football.
yeah. So Franco Harris and Sonic. I mean, you know who I'm referring to with Sonic, right?
Yes, Jameer Gibbs. Yeah,
Okay, cool, cool, cool. I see. I know you don't play
I know
much
what
video
the
games.
slang the kids are using these days.
I know you don't play very many video games, so I didn't know if you would like remember the nickname based on a video game.
Well, yeah, it's that guy that was like trying to save the princess from the gorilla. Sonic.
Sonic, yeah. I mean, there's not much to say. He's a fast guy who can also, take a guy down if he needs to. Hard to tackle.
Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna like
Some of
argue
these are
this
not
point because
so this one's not revolution. Like the only one that's like kind of like that's like what are you doing comparing somebody to somebody? Is Derrick Henry's comparison, and maybe this one.
yeah, comparing Ken Stabler to Patrick Mahomes to open the segment was not at all a controversial decision.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do to get the people watching. Um, well, okay,
What are you gonna do? Put in the description. Podcast host compares Ken Stabler to Patrick Mahomes
yes.
to get views. Is that the plan? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, what do you know about this little guy named Walter Payton?
What do I know about him?
Yeah, what do you know about Walter Payton?
I've seen Walter Payton highlights.
What do you
Like
know
I know
about
the
him?
vibe, bro. I don't.
What
What do
you
you want me to know
input
about him?
something?
Are you
So what do you know about Walter Payton?
Bears running back for quite a while? Has the like NFL award for being a good person basically named after him. Was a very good. He was not a very big running back, so shiftier guy if I'm remembering correctly. Not saying that he couldn't run through a wall because he could. I feel like we saw that, but again, my opinion is probably based on a few highlights, as I'm sure yours is, and
I
my
mean, yeah.
highlights were
I
watched
mean,
longer ago. I've not looked at Walter Payton highlights recently,
I
so
admitted openly that I don't know enough about the past as I should, and I'm doing research into the past of the NFL just so I can know more about it, and I notice these things. I mean, you can say, Walter Payton is considered one of the better running backs of all time.
yeah,
I've heard some people say he's the best. I don't know if that's consensus or not. Um,
that's not consensus, but
okay, I've heard some people say that. Similar play styles, from what I saw, to Saquon Barkley. Obviously,
okay.
Saquon got like the crazy backward hurdle. I don't think Walter Payton ever did that, but they've got similar. They're both like kind of shifty, can kind of take some guys down. They're both pretty quick for their day. Uh,
So what to you makes this like these two people different from Jameer Gibbs and Franco Harris? Like
so
what's
I
the
mean,
distinguishing factor?
specifically just you watch Jameer Gibbs. He's kind of got that. You know, uh, problem is I don't know enough technical terms about football to be able to say this well, but he's very Jameer Gibbs and Franco Harris. The comparison is more that they aren't necessarily like the fastest. I mean, Jameer Gibbs is pretty fast. The fastest guys out there, but they get up to speed pretty quick, and they got that downhill speed. Not downhill speed. What am I? I am struggling to find words here. I don't know. The only football term I know is downhill speed when it comes to running backs. Uh, it's more of that utility use. Whereas the Walter Payton Saquon Barkley is more of a just you give them the ball, they're gonna make something big out of it. Obviously you have to have the right elements, but Franco Harris and Jameer Gibbs are not that they're useless without their team. Still be great on other teams, but they're more utility greats, like a Swiss Army knife having that awesome great corkscrew opener. Like I need a corkscrew opener. Look at that, I got that. But then you can also use it to go into a tree and dig a hole for the sap, and then you can also use it for stabbing a guy in the eye if he's trying to rob you. They've got multiple uses, but they're very like that. Whereas Saquon Barkley and Walter Payton were more of that. Like we've got other options, yes. So it's not like they're the only thing we got on our team. But like you just give this guy the ball, he's gonna get the extra yards. Uh,
Okay.
I'm not good at describing. I need to learn more football terms. Is what I'm realizing from this now.
Okay.
Yeah. Now here's the next one. This one again. Not saying that they are the same person or that they have the same attitude towards football or that they have the same attitude towards people or that they have the same level of success. They are similar play styles, right? Now this guy here is a little bit earlier than the other ones. I think he retired before. He retired before most of the other guys started playing, right? And he doesn't have as much longevity as the other guy I'm comparing him to. But what do you know about Jim Brown?
Slightly controversial figure, great running back for the Browns. He is like one of the people that is considered one of the best running backs of all time. Like again, I wouldn't say consensus opinion, but yeah, I mean, what do you want me to know about Jim Brown?
I think for his era, he played a similar way to the way Derrick Henry plays. Are you frozen, or are you just trying to punctuate this with a
Yeah,
stare?
I'm trying to appear frozen to avoid actually having to give a take in response to this.
Give a take. Give a take. What's your take?
No, I just I all right,
What's your take?
Yeah, Derrick Henry, Jim Brown, let's go.
What
Although
what, what do you
honestly,
think?
I'm not even as mad at this as you might think, because you did like just compare Derrick Henry to one of the greatest running backs of all time. Like
I
this
mean, Derrick
comparison
Henry
could have
is
been so
great.
much
Yeah.
worse.
I mean, I think Derrick Henry
Like I
is in the conversation for all-time great. Not all-time greatest, maybe, but in the conversation for one of the all-time greats as running back.
I mean, I actually don't even think this one is that controversial after all that lead up. Like this is probably one of the less controversial
No,
opinions.
I know this is. I was just trying to wear you down so that when I made the Derrick Henry thing, it wasn't as outlandish.
I mean, I think they're actually very similar. Like, I feel like I might have even heard this before. Like, I think Jim Brown and Derrick Henry are actually very like Jim Brown was a big running back. He was like 6'2", 6'3". He was a
Yeah.
guy he would run through people. I mean, it's very fat, large, fast, and powerful.
Also reminds me when Derrick
Yeah, I
Henry
mean,
was on the Titans, it was just kind of like a give Jim the ball. He'll figure it out. And it's like, yeah, just kind of give Derrick Henry the ball. He'll figure it
no,
out somehow.
I actually like this is probably like one of the most like this is probably the most valid comparison you've actually made.
Yeah.
So
Thanks. I
I
appreciate that.
completely memory hold Jim Brown when I said there was no like good comparison for Derrick Henry. Like that one makes sense. Let's go back to where
Thanks.
you said Fran Tarkin and Lamar were similar because they could have run.
And that
So we
was
can
where
make
you
fun of you
took me
more.
out of context. That wasn't even a real take I had. That was just me trying to
The
skip.
viewers can decide the you listen to this entire interaction where you said both of them run, so therefore they are similar.
And that's not even what I said. I mean, you cut out for most of that, so I don't know exactly what you tried to say, but I said that, right? He's like, I said they can both run, and then I was going to explain more what I meant by that, and then you go, they can both run? That's a stupid thing to say. It's like I was going to explain more, and then you interrupted me by laughing at me. So,
Well, again, the first I had had my minute of stunned silence when I heard Ken Stabler as Patrick Mahomes, and so by the time I got to Fran Tarkenton and Lamar Jackson can both run, I was just kind of ready to just yell at you for the stuff you were saying.
yeah, now that we finished this thing, what was the big deal with Ken Stabler and Patrick Mahomes comparison? Like, what was your big deal with that?
I guarantee you that I can go and watch Ken Stabler highlights or whatever, and it's not gonna look like Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, do it
Like
after the
there's
podcast is over.
I tried to pull them up during the podcast a minute ago. I couldn't really focus, obviously, because I was trying to have a conversation. But
Yeah, I mean he's a lefty, so it's a little different, but
what did he do? Did he sidearm passes? Was he like what is the comparison here?
I mean he just was like I mean he was described as Snake. That was his nickname was Snake. He was a shifty guy who just kind of did things and they worked out for him. Sometimes I didn't, sometimes I did, and it was I mean he just did things and they just happened to work out. That's the big comparison. Because Mahomes is always like talked about like, look at that. He just was falling down and he threw the ball and it got into the guy's hand. And we've never seen anything like that. It's like Ken Stabler did that in 1974. He's like falling down, he's getting tackled from behind, and he just chucks the ball as he's like his knees almost hit the ground. And it's like it's he did similar things that people say Mahomes is crazy for doing. It's like it's been done. It's not like Mahomes is one of the ones. This is not like a Ken Stabler comparison, but there's a video from like the 40s of somebody doing that behind the back pass in an NFL game. Did I just cut out? Sorry, I dropped something.
No, you're good.
Okay,
Uh,
there's a video of Mahomes did that like behind the back like that kind of pass that one time in the game. People are like what? Like that is a crazy pass, but people are treating it like it's never happened before, and it had back in like the 40s. And it's like I mean I'm sure no one really watches 1940s football, but like I heard people talking like this is the first time this ever happened, and then people are like actually it happened in the 40s a few times,
so in that
50s,
situation,
50s not 40s.
is it not justifiable to still react like
Well,
it's
no, it's justified to react like
unpre
it's crazy, but it's
well,
to say it
it is
never happened.
unprecedented in the sense that nobody in the modern game is doing that. Like, if Mahomes went to the 40s, I'm sure he could against, like, people who, like, were the replacements for people who went and fought in World War II. I'm sure Mahomes could only throw behind the back passes and probably do well in that league. So someone doing it against modern
No, no,
fast
that
NFL
specific
defenders
one is
is
not as
unprecedented.
egregious. That one is not as egregious as saying something like Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball behind him and then it becomes a fumble and then recovering the fumble is something crazy we've never seen before because it happens all the time or something like that. Like those kind of things aren't
Yeah,
like.
quarterbacks strip linebackers of the ball constantly in the NFL. It's a
I mean,
thing.
you look at like the 70s and the 80s Raiders. Yeah, they kind of did. the Raiders are kind of
Sure,
the
I'm
Raiders are
gonna.
kind of like they picked up muggers off the street and were like, "Hey, you want to play quarterback?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." How do you play football? And they're like, yeah, you'll figure it out. And they just kill a guy on at the game.
Sorry, I'm choking to death over here.
Yeah.
Sparkling water.
No, I will agree. I had some takes that weren't so great here. I mean, I compared Roger Staubach to Baker Mayfield. So
I mean, okay, but that one could be like a really lazy, like, if you just pretend you were lazy and that you were just saying they're both clutch, because Staubach is literally known for like being clutch and like inventing the Hail Mary, and Baker Mayfield is also clutch. That one's like actually really easy to like hand wave into being a
I
good
mean, even if
take.
you like watch just watch them play, they like look not looks, but they look similar while they play. Maybe not
Yeah.
throwing motion specifically, but just like the kind of passes they made, the kind of runs they did. Because I mean, Staubach would run if he had to. Yeah.
So
I just wanted an excuse to compare Roger Staubach to Baker Mayfield, and I didn't know how to do that unless I made a bunch of not equally, but more crazy statements that you looked over the Roger Staubach Baker Mayfield comparison.
you made the Roger Staubach one first.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
started with
that was how
that.
you introed the segment, and then you like moved on from it within 10 seconds and spent way longer talking about Fran Tarkenton.
Yeah, well, that's just because you snickered at me, and it made me feel insecure for a second, and then I realized, wait, hold on. I did not a lot, but I did some research on this.
You did your own research. You
Yeah,
were immunized from bad takes, if you
I
will.
am. I am. And if you disagree with
Um,
me, you're wrong because I have the podcast. Yeah. Do
this is
you have a
my podcast.
podcast? Do you have a podcast? Viewer at home, do you have a podcast?
Watch me.
Viewer at home, do you have a
So,
podcast? I didn't think so.
are you okay? I have a couple questions about
Yeah.
kind of the entire thing you just did. So, how would you react if I watched highlights of like a modern player who is obviously not very good? Like, if I watch, I don't know, like, who's like a backup quarterback who's like clearly not good. Like, what if I watch Anthony Richardson highlights and I said, "We've seen this before," and compared him to like some quarterback? Like, would you not react like this is kind of insane? Because again, that highlight based analysis is kind of similar.
Probably not. I,
Okay.
I mean, I feel like I'm a lot more open to weird takes than you are.
Well, yeah,
Just because I make so many
no
of them, I'm
kidding.
probably open to hearing other people's weird takes more often than you would be. Uh, But yeah, I mean, that's what this whole segment was saying. Hey, look, these guys look similar. Not necessarily. Oh, this guy has the same. Is that? No, he's frozen. I'm gonna wait for this to fit. I'm gonna wait for him to be on. Sorry. So I'm like, it's not like I'm saying these guys had the same career or they had put up the same numbers. My whole thing was like, we've seen people who played like this before, and I mean, they did it against some of the better defenses.
Okay.
I mean, like that was back when you
So
could basically kill a dude and then be like, the refs would be like, he should have got rid of the ball, you know? And now like you can't do a hip drop tackle. So it's like defense has gotten it's a lot harder to be a good defense now, I think, than it was back in the 70s and 80s and 90s and even early 2000s because back then you could just like take a guy out of his cleats, maybe break his legs. Like after the play's over, just grab his legs and break him and you'd be fine. But so I think as an offensive player, the 70s and the 80s and the 90s were probably a lot harder to be great than it is now. Just because, that was the constant risk of just being murdered.
yeah, I mean defenses are faster now and more athletic, but what you said still holds true. And also, you didn't have the same level of offensive game planning, and you didn't have the speed on the offensive side of the ball either that you have now. So I guess my only, like, my main, like, if you big picture though this whole thing, because it was kind of like you're annoyed that people say we've never seen this before. Could it not be going beyond just highlights? Because you had a qualifier throughout basically all these comparisons. That was, I'm not saying that these players from back then are going to have the same success as the players I'm comparing them to from
Although
today.
I think with the running backs they might. I think the running backs might have similar
Well, yeah,
success.
I mean Jim Brown and Walter Payton are obviously incredibly successful, and it's going to be the
That
running
that
backs
would
kind of
probably
work the other
translate.
way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I
David
think
Montgomery's not going to be a Hall of Famer,
yeah, well, yeah. Okay.
but
Maybe.
anyway, I guess what I'm getting at is it not reasonable to say we've never seen before this many players that are this good doing these things so consistently and finding so much success at it? Like, is it not reasonable to think that we are in kind of a great, like, yes, we saw highlights in the 70s, like, and beyond and before of what football could be, how cool it could be. But we are like the people we have now are doing the people you're talking about, especially the quarterbacks. Again, the running backs you compared the current running backs to are kind of like historical greats, so that's kind of a different comparison. But I mean, Mahomes is finding way more consistent success than Ken Stabler ever did while making those highlight plays. So I mean, is it not reasonable to be like, yeah, I mean, we this is amazing. This is not something we've ever seen before. Is this many guys? You have a league with Josh Allen and Mahomes and Lamar and so many great players who consistently make incredible plays on the field, like stuff that looks crazy. And maybe we've seen similar plays before. Like, I'm not going to deny that, but I think it's still justifiable to almost freak out. Like, we're living in such a great time for football, and we've never seen an NFL like this before. I don't think that's unjustified.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the whole NFL, yeah. I mean, I guess we haven't seen anything like that before. But I mean, people will watch people watch highlights and say we've never seen anything like that. And it's like that's what my whole thing came down to is just people watching highlights and going, we've never seen a player like that. We've never seen a player like that. And it's like we kind of have, you know.
But
Maybe
your whole
that's
thing was watching highlights and saying we have seen a player like that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We what? Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, people watching highlights going, we've never seen anything like that. And you're going, you could just watch highlights from 50 years ago and see the same thing, you know.
Okay. So really, what you're saying, okay, but you're saying more. Your quarrel is more. They watch highlights and say we've never seen plays like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's a better way of phrasing what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, I got a question for you.
Oh no,
Which which comparison do you think would make the best title and thumbnail for this video?
is Patrick Mahomes Ken Stabler analysis?
That's a great idea. Yeah, I was thinking like Derrick Henry is who or something like that. I was like, yeah, maybe
No, Derrick Henry and Jim Brown is like a perfectly valid comparison that I just like forgot was a thing. Like you're not gonna get any hate from me for that one. Like that was
Yeah.
normal. It was the Ken Stabler and Mahomes. And then Fran Tarkenton runs, Lamar
Okay,
runs,
you
question mark.
you're taking me out of context, man. Yeah. Well, I guess we've hit hour and 15, so we should probably close out. You got any
That was
final
a fever
thoughts?
dream. I have no idea what we just talked about for an hour and 15 minutes. I like entered a world of like Ken Stabler Mahomes comparisons, and I don't know. I have one thing I would like to read you. It's not very long, but I was reading an article this morning from a longtime NFL reporter who I've followed for a while, and he's a pretty snarky guy. And so he was doing like a mailbag, like people are sending him in thoughts and like questions, and he's kind of giving his takes and reaction. And so,
Yeah.
first of all, he was talking about the Giants. People were asking him a lot of questions about the Giants. So somebody asked, "Do the Giants already have no choice but to play Jackson Dart because their season is start?" Which, by the time this was written, Jackson Dart was named the starter. But he said, "Yeah." He said the question aged poorly. Jackson Dart will be starting in week 4. But he was said, Russell Wilson might get released soon. The Giants released Daniel Jones pretty quickly after they benched him. And Russell Wilson is really not the type of guy you want just kind of lurking around in your team facility while he's not playing. Like he's kind of not that guy. But then what I wanted your reaction on was somebody asked, should the rebirth of Danny Dimes be
I heard the rest. Can you repeat the
okay?
Danny Dimes question?
But what I wanted your reaction on was someone asked, should the rebirth of Danny Dimes be the final red flag that having Brian Dable develop your rookie or future quarterback is a disaster waiting to happen? And Mr. Tanier's response to this was, folks, Daniel Jones has not suddenly gotten good. He has faced 2 scout team defenses with no pass rushers or cornerbacks. He is having at best a variation on his 2022 season with the Giants, and it is very important for me to know that you guys know this. So, quick thoughts.
There are no bad teams in the NFL. All right, let me just preface this. There are no bad team. Every team is an NFL team. All right, let me start with that. Every team has players who are able to make it to the NFL. Now there are some teams that are worse than any of the other teams, but they are all good teams. All right, I mean, it's all NFL teams, right? If they weren't NFL teams, they wouldn't have the players on them because they would have been taken off because they're not good enough, you know.
Yeah,
And so the Denver Broncos, not a good team apparently. Tennessee Titans,
I think he was talking about the Titans and the
but he did play.
Dolphins,
He
not
did play the Denver Broncos though, and he did kind of beat them. So you know,
somehow. Yeah.
and so it's people like to say, oh, this team is bad, but it's like they're an NFL team full of NFL caliber players. Sure, they're not the best in the league, but they are NFL caliber players, and so I think Danny Dimes beating, sorry, Indiana Jones or Danny Quarters. We won't call him Danny Dimes here. He's Danny Quarters or Indiana Jones. Um, and so I think he beat 3 NFL teams. Sure, he had good help with him, and sure they may not have been the best. 2 of them might not have been the best, but they're 3 NFL teams he beat, or the Colts beat with him. So, although I do
That
think
is
he
your
needs to get some.
official response.
What?
I was just saying that's your official response.
I
Okay.
do I do think it would be interesting to watch him play a team with good, like, great pass rushers. That would be interesting.
Hey,
See if
look,
he falls
Rams
apart.
next week.
Hey, yeah, yeah. I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see. See if he can overcome that hurdle with a good defensive line. Uh,
I'm actually like incredibly interested in the Rams Colts game. Like I
yeah.
really want to see how that goes this
I
weekend.
I do hope that he is good, just because I love a redemption story of being like considered one of the worst in the NFL to becoming like a Super Bowl winning team. That would be super sick. Um,
Well,
I mean,
if
that's
I
just
can
a,
kind of
narratively, that would be
yeah,
awesome. That would be awesome to have a narratively. Because I know he did do good his first, like, what, 2 seasons, or was it just 1 season?
I don't remember if it was first season. He had 1 or 2
I know he sat
decent
behind
seasons.
Eli
I
for
don't
some
remember.
amount of time, so I don't remember how
Yeah,
long, but yeah, he had like one or two good seasons, and so it's not like he was um always just this bad player who's now getting a chance to play again. It's this player who's like he showed potential, he showed good playing, and now he's got a chance to do it with a team that isn't the New York Giants. And I hope he can do good. It'd be like Baker Mayfield, going from the Browns to the Bucks, and now he's actually able to, take a team. I mean, he took the Browns to the playoffs and won a game.
this feels insulting to Baker Mayfield somehow.
I'm not
Unless
comparing
Daniel
Indiana
Jones is
Jones
like
to Baker
actually
Mayfield.
that dude.
Hey, Baker is my guy. You know, you want to know my top five quarterbacks? It goes Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, anybody else you want to put in the top five. That's how it goes. All right,
Roger Staubach.
I'm saying current. But I do think it is a comparable story of going from a bad team and then playing for somebody else for a bit and getting cut and then going to a team that's better
We'll
or has
see.
better options, I guess, and then or more options, not better options, more options, and then doing well. I hope he does well.
Okay, so if I can kind of sum up today's discussion, there are no every quarterback in the NFL is an NFL quarterback. Some of them may be slightly worse than others, but they are all very good and they all made it to the NFL. Um,
Yeah.
Therefore, I don't want to hear any discussion about, this team has a bad quarterback because he's an NFL quarterback. He's very good. All teams are also NFL teams if they are participating in the NFL.
Correct.
Daniel Jones is an NFL quarterback, undeniably,
Yeah.
meaning he is therefore good regardless of his play because he made it to the NFL and
Yeah.
he's currently in the NFL and he plays for an NFL team. Daniel Jones also, perhaps while maybe not being the best down to throw the ball, he is sneakily good at being a runner. That's kind of been his thing the whole time.
All right.
You know who else was a runner? Was Fran Tarkenton, who also was an NFL quarterback for an NFL team.
Yeah. I mean, Daniel Jones
And
didn't he?
Jim
Wasn't
Brown
he on
was
the
also a runner.
Vikings? Wasn't Daniel Jones
Yes.
on the Vikings for like a week or something like that?
Yes, it's literally the same person. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean, Fran
Fran
Tarkenton and
Tarkenton,
Daniel Jones are the same guy. I mean, I actually think that Fran Tarkenton
also Aaron
at the
Jones.
beginning of
We
no,
we
I
got
think
we have
it.
to throw
Hold
Aaron.
on, I think the beginning of his career, Fran Tarkenton cloned himself and then sent one clone to the future and became Daniel Jones.
Yeah, and then also we can throw in Aaron Jones because he has the same name as Daniel Jones. He plays for the Vikings and he runs with a football occasionally.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think we can kind of Fran Tarkenton, Daniel Jones, Aaron Jones. I think it's kind of like long lost brothers, like that kind of situation. They're very similar players, very similar play styles. When I watch Aaron Jones highlights and Daniel Jones highlights and Fran Tarkenton highlights, they kind of merge together in my
Mm,
mind.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where we're at. I think we've learned a lot today on the podcast. The title of this podcast is Patrick Mahomes equals Ken Stabler, question mark, all caps.
It's actually a great title.
Like, that's literally the title. Like,
Yeah, no,
that's not a
it's got to
bit.
be the title. Yeah.
All right. Anything else from this weekend we need to cover before, like, on our way out? Outro.
Colts are winning the Super
Titans
Bowl.
suck. Falcons suck. Dolphins suck slightly less, but still suck. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Bills could
Saints
go
suck,
undefeated.
possibly.
Yeah, I mean they've got all their hardest fights are out and they won those, so chance they go undefeated. Although they have to play the Browns this season, right? Sorry,
Maybe. I have no idea.
I know they're both AFC. I don't remember the schedule for either team, but the Browns beat the
I mean,
Packers, so
well, any given Sunday, can't
yeah,
just assume they'll go undefeated, but they could.
yeah.
All right. Outro thoughts.
Good thoughts. We had a good discussion where you laughed at me a lot,
Yeah, and I did
and
do that.
it
It
hurt my
was.
feelings. I'm kidding. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I was like, okay, I'm sorry. You wanted to do a podcast.
No, I'm
You
kidding. It didn't
you
hurt my
prepared
feelings.
it. You prepared a podcast where your main take was that Lamar Jackson and Fran Tarkenton both run the football, and then
My
expected me to
main
like sit
take,
here and just
my main take
not
was Jim Brown and
react.
Derrick Henry.
You just said your main thing was Roger Staubach and Baker Mayfield.
Now, that was the
Like, you
take that
literally
I wanted to throw in there. Jim Brown and Derrick Henry were like the main take. That's why I ended with them.
okay, so the main take
I was
was the
no
best one.
I
We
was
we've
joking
now
about
rewritten history.
no, I was joking about Baker Mayfield and Roger Staubach being my main take. I was a joke. I do think the comparison is
Yeah,
apt,
so
but it was a joke that was my main take.
your best take is now magically the main take the entire time.
I started this segment when I was making this segment. I was like, I want to show that Derrick Henry has had a similar. There's someone similar to Derrick Henry from the past, and so I was like, I also don't want to just do Derrick Henry, so I'm going to do a bunch of other people. And I was like, Derrick
And by
Henry's
the
my
way,
strongest one.
I will fully admit I for some reason like forgot that Jim Brown existed. So I did yap a lot in this episode about how I like you're not gonna find someone for Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
That was like I don't know what I was thinking that entire time.
and so I was just like,
I
well,
should have
Jim
argued
Brown and
more
Derrick
about Fran
Henry.
Tarkenton.
Yeah, Jim Brown and Derrick Henry. I was like, probably the best comparison I have. So I'm going to end with that one because that's how you end with your best one. You start with the one that's going to get a lot of attention, and then you end with the best one. That's how you do papers. That's how you do skits. That's how you do really any kind of media. So that's how I'm doing this. All right. Closing
Well, you
out.
did it.
Go read your Bible, pray, go to church. That's
Amen. All right.